Are you also getting this white fuzzy stuff growing on your orchids? It seems to be spreading quite quickly. Almost looks like cotton wool. Doesn't look very good at all. And perhaps you're wondering, is it a fungus? Is it going to kill my orchid? What do I need to do to fix it? Well, today we're going to tell you what it is, how to fix it, and how to make sure it doesn't come back on your orchids. Invariably, this white fuzzy stuff that's growing on your orchids, whether it's in between the leaves, down in between those sheaths, on the undersides of your leaves, or there around the buds, 9 times out of 10, before it's going to be a fungus, it's going to be an insect. And that's very probably going to be woolly aphids, or 9 times out of 10, this is very probably not going to be a fungus. It's going to be an insect, so it's going to either be woolly aphids or mealybug. And that's what causes this almost cotton woolly type appearance around your orchid. If it was a fungus, invariably it would be in and around on the media itself first, or it would be on patches on the leaf with sort of black markings that it's surrounding, or black squishy markings that it's surrounding. But when it's more like this, you're generally going to be pretty sure it's one of those two insects. And what does it matter which one it is? Well, woolly aphids are generally found around the flower spikes and possibly the undersides of the leaves. There's a little bit of a gray insect with this fluffy white stuff on top of it. They're quite mobile, so they will move really quickly and easily. And when they bite in, they do inject a toxin into that part of the plant that it's biting that will then cause deformities in the growth of it. So it's not very nice, but it still is controllable. With mealybugs, you're going to find more often than not, should I say, you're going to find them in all those tiny little gaps in and around your orchid. They like to hide in there, and that's where they do most of their damage. They're also sucking and biting. They're going to be sucking out the life of your plant slowly but surely, and they multiply really quickly. They're a little bit less motile, so they're not going to move as quickly as what your aphids are going to be doing, and they almost a pure white with like almost this soft pink squishiest body underneath, like a segmented kind of body. So it's almost in the shape of an oval, whereas your aphid is almost looks like a small fly in a way, just to give you an idea of the different shapes. But really, when you're dealing with either of these two, it really doesn't matter if you know the name of it, because we want to get rid of them. And why do they come in the first place? Well, generally with this orchid, there's a couple of reasons why this has happened. Because generally, they're more likely to attack orchids that are under stress than healthy, happy orchids. It's easier for them then to bite into those damaged, softer cells than it is to get into firm, healthy cells. So more often than not, they'll attack those stressed plants. And here we can see one of the reasons for the stress of this plant is we haven't cut off the old previous flower spike. And we're allowing it to reflower off the same spike, so it's drawing more energy off that plant without allowing that plant time for their recovery. That's often why with Phalaenopsis, I often would suggest once you've had your first big blooming of it, you chop off the flower spike all the way at the bottom and allow the new flower spike to come in the new season. Because this way, you're drawing energy from the plant all the time to try and keep it in flowering. So it does get under stress. Also, we'll notice some yellowing leaves, some leaves that are a little bit leathery, so there's a little bit of dehydration taking place. So perhaps the roots aren't doing so well, perhaps we've rotted the roots from overwatering, or one of the other big factors that this can happen is through overfeeding. And as we can see on this, we can see that white crystalline structure on top of the media. That's distinct proof that there has been overfeeding taking place. And now we have too many salts in our media They could be drawing moisture away from the plant itself. They could be stopping the plant from being able to absorb nutrients. So there's all these factors that have caused this orchid to undergo stress, which has then allowed for these insects to really bloom. And we want the flower to bloom, not the insects. So how do we rectify all of this? The one nice thing about this is that it's a relatively easy fix. But understanding that, we also know we have to get our orchid back into full health so that it can help fight off the insect attacks next time. So that's something you've got to watch out for as well. But to get rid of these initially is going to be relatively easy, but you're still going to understand that they often reoccur. So it doesn't matter how careful you have been, things like ants and that are still going to be bringing them back. So one of the best things to do with plants like this is to quarantine them, put them into a separate area so they can't then infect your nice, beautiful new plants with these horrible insects. Because both of these insects attract ants. With the mealybug produces a honeydew that helps feed the ants, and the ants then look after those mealybugs and move them around plant to plant so that they can keep getting that honeydew. With the aphids have their own specific relationship with ants as well, and the ants look after them and help protect them. And those aphids can often, if they're in the mature stage, fly off and reinfect your other plants. So not only are we going to have to control the insects, we also want to control those ants too, to make sure that they're not spreading any of those babies around as they move. And these ones, although we're even finding them on the flower buds themselves, are not woolly aphids. These are actually mealybugs. You can see here by the shape of their body and the way they move that they're actually mealybugs and not woolly aphids. So it's not a fact that one type of insect will only infest one certain part of the plant. They all just go wherever they can get their best meal. Not that this is going to make any difference on how to treat them or how to control them. We still want complete annihilation. Let's look at some of the common treatments we can use to get rid of these pests. First of all, one of the easiest ways is isopropyl alcohol. This we can just put onto a cotton bud or even those cotton pads or anything, and it's as easy as just wiping off over the surfaces. And because they're such soft-bodied insects, this isopropyl alcohol will kill them on contact. And also you'll be removing them from your plant itself. Often I won't use the isopropyl alcohol directly on the buds, although when there's a big infection like this, I will do. It will just be a couple of quick wipes that I'll use because I don't want to disturb these buds too much. What you also might find quite effective is just using something like a toothpick or something with a little bit of a sharp edge to it to just physically go in and gently scratch out those little bugs that are hiding in those little crevices. It can often clean out those little ones that it would be difficult to reach otherwise. So what can we use that's not going to be as strong on the plant as isopropyl alcohol? There's a couple of really easy things. Neem oil. Neem oil will get rid of all the bugs on your plant so quickly. It will disrupt their mating, it will disrupt their physiology, and it will kill them on site as well. So this is going to upset the life cycles as well as killing them. So if there are any eggs and larvae, the neem oil is also going to do the trick. And then it will also help control any fungal infections that may be on your plant as well. So neem oil is always a good option to use to get rid of mealybug and woolly aphids. Always remember, stick to your mixing instructions. Don't try and overuse it to think you're going to get better results. Stick to the mixing instructions. And then, of course, things like horticultural soaps. And if you don't know what a horticultural soap is, what you can also just use is a mild dishwashing soap. So here we're going to be using a very small quantity. It's basically only one tiny little drop in a whole liter of water. And that then we can put into our spray bottle, and then basically just, if the spray bottle works, and then basically just spray them off. The spray is going to wash those insects off, and that soap is going to disrupt their skin and kill those insects. So you're going to win both ways with that, and it's going to be extremely mild on your plant. It's not going to cause any damage whatsoever. And then if you really wanted to, what you could just use is plain straight water with quite a strong spray, and then just spray them off and then catch any of those insects that fall off and kill them that way if you want to as well. And if you're worried all of these almost soft solutions aren't going to work to control the insects on your orchids because you're worried that they're sucking too much out of them, and also remember, with these sucking insects, they can pass diseases and viruses from one plant to another. So this is one of the reasons that you have to be sure that you're super vigilant to watch out for them, because you don't want them to then jump from one plant to another plant to another plant, and if any of them happen to be virused and not be showing any signs, it could cause problems in your other orchids. So try and control them as best as possible. So if you want something a little bit stronger, any insecticide is going to kill these, whether it's your organic insecticides, your chemical ones, whether they be systemic or contact. You can use them as per manufacturer's instructions to spray your plant. But remember, when using insecticides, always wear safety gear. We don't want any bad chemicals getting on you. With the organic ones, you probably are a lot safer, so you probably don't have as many problems with that with your pets either. But sometimes those insecticides are a saving grace when it comes to major infections of insects, or infestations of insects, should I say. Because once you've got one orchid with this many woolly aphids or mealybug on them, you know you've got others in your other plants. So you may want to do a treatment of everything that is in the same vicinity as what your orchid that is infested. Shall we start that again? So if you've got an orchid that's infested with mealybug or woolly aphids, treat everything that is in and around in the same area, because more than likely they'll have jumped in between the plants or been passed along in some way. So it's always best to treat your whole little area that you've got. So for now, we've gone through isopropyl alcohol, which works really well, swabbing them off. We've gone through horticultural soaps and just mild dishwashing soaps that also work really well. We've done neem oil, also other horticultural oils, things like eco oils and other paraffinic oils are also excellent at killing these soft-bodied insects. That's something that will also act as a contact insecticide, especially for these soft-bodied insects. They've got no resistance to them, or will just block up their breathing apparatus and they will die. One of the best ways we find to manage them is using our trusty garlic tonic. We'll drop the link to the video in the description box down below if you haven't seen it already, because this is a very important one. Because our orchid is already under stress, not only is this garlic tonic going to kill off those aphids and those mealybugs, but also it's going to help feed your orchid itself. It's going to give it that little bit of a boost, that tonic that it needs to help it regain its vigor and strength. So garlic tonic, never underestimate it. And I've got lost again as usual. Okay, so what do we say? Isopropyl alcohol, horticultural and dishwashing, mild dishwashing soaps, neem oil, paraffinoic oils, just plain water, or insecticides, chemical, organic, or otherwise. All of them are going to treat your orchid and get rid of the initial infestation. Obviously, there's systemic insecticides that are going to be in your plant longer, so they're going to protect your plant for a longer period of time, some of them for up to 6 months. But otherwise, with your other treatments, you may have to come back. So keep an eye on your plant after you've treated it to make sure that you've caught all of them. Because especially with those mealybug who are hiding in between those leaves, we want to make sure that they're going to die too. So once you've given them a treatment and you've wiped through everything you can and you've sprayed down and you've done everything you can to take everything off, just keep coming back, checking on your orchid. If you see any of those bugs re-emerging from anywhere, which they do, then you can just catch them and wipe them off or spray them off again, and that will slowly get rid of the complete infestation. But as I said, remember, there's no ways of stopping it all the time. As soon as your orchid does get sickly again, they're going to find their way somehow back. So keep your orchids as healthy as possible. Feed and water properly. Don't overfeed like what happened here. And now for some reason we're causing stress on our plant. Even the roots are starting to dehydrate here a bit. So I should have actually seen, well, I did, but you've got to watch out for all of these signs in your orchid that your orchid is starting to struggle, so that you can keep it in good health, so that it can fight off these insect infestations themselves, so it makes less of a job for you. But as I said, with these soft-bodied insects, it's really not going to be too much of a problem, and it's an easy fix. If you are continually getting those reinfestations, look at the culture of your orchids. Make sure you're not overwatering, or whether you're not underwatering and the plants are starting to dehydrate. You're not overfeeding and you're not underfeeding, so that your plants aren't in stress all the time. Because there's also thought that stressed orchids or stressed plants or stressed plants themselves naturally in nature actually let off a signal, and this signal is then what attracts insects. It helps with the whole life cycle of growth and death and birth and death, and however you want to put it. But that whole cycle of life and death, and part of that signal is calling the insects to help get the plant over with its struggle a bit faster. But whether it's that or whether it's just the insects taking advantage of a situation where they can get the upper hand. Nature can be quite vicious, but we can help sort it out. If you have any further questions with regards to woolly aphids or mealybugs, drop them in the comments box below. I'll be sure to get back to you. If there's any other orchid related questions, remember, Ed posts up a lot of information in that Buy Me a Coffee link in the description box down below. You can go down there, have a look. There's a lot of information that is available there to everyone. And if you feel like it, don't be shy. Sign up, become a member, and grow like a pro. And thank you for watching. If you found any of this information helpful, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and that notification bell, bing bong, to be notified of all our upcoming content so you don't miss out on a thing. Help us grow as we help your orchids grow.